Hello everyone, Evasion here, and welcome back to another video. Today's video, I wanted to share a build I use for Guardian raids. As many of you have probably seen the Chaos Dungeon build, and if you've tried to do a Guardian raid or some kind of more raid-oriented content with it, you probably haven't had as good of a time as you do in Chaos Dungeon with that build. So anyway, without further ado, let's hop straight into the build. Alright, so we'll talk about stats and engravings in a second here. For this build specifically though, we're going to be talking about the first intention engraving, and I will cover esoteric as well at the end, just for people who want to play that as well, as there is a reason to play both, and I'll talk about that too. So basically, going into the skills, we're going to be using Lightning Kick, and this build can be done with, I gotta do quick math here, 268 skill points, so that's a pretty early game. I need to farm skill points like really bad. Anyway, so we got Sharp Movement, Thunder Kick, and Flash Lightning. Basically, this is going to be a gap closing tool that hits very hard in a raid scenario. You can also use it to get out if you have to avoid a mechanic. Not much else to say there. Flash Heat Fang. You can take Fist of Darkness and Weak Point Detection and Adrenaline Rush to maximize the boss damage that you get out of this ability. This does have like a small animation lock, so you have to be careful when you use this. The hitbox is also very small. If for some reason you're struggling to hit with this move, I mean, you could use Wide Hit, but I wouldn't recommend it. You just want to practice with Fist of Darkness. There is a niche situation for Sacred Attack later, but we're not going to talk about that in this video. Moon Flash Kick, you want Intense Shock, Single Hit, and Full Moon Kick. This is also a gap closer, but it hits really hard, especially if you get the back attack off of this ability. It's probably one of the hardest hitting abilities you have as first intention. And the next ability, you want Wind's Whisper. This is our buff. Basically, Oath of the Wind will give you a crit buff. I still have Quick Prep. I think after we get more swiftness in later tiers, you can probably switch to Wind's Whisper and then crack people with it. But yeah, and then Ready Attack. This is the most important part. In Chaos Dungeons, you'll notice you use Super Wind because the burst damage from hitting all the mobs is a lot of damage. But Ready Attack for the plus 35% is really, really good. It helps you set up burst windows with your other abilities, which are Moon Flash Kick. Well, you don't usually use Flash Heat Fang in the burst window because it has so much crit rate and everything else. But Moon Flash Kick and Sweeping Kick, you try to get in this burst window as well. Basically, for Sweeping Kick, you want to have Weak Point Detection, Shadow Cleave, and Pure Excellence. This is just going to make it a kind of slow animation lock, big kick that does massive damage. At current 1000 item level, it can crit for like 400k, which is pretty crazy. At least for not being a very... Wardancers aren't really a crazy burst damage class by comparison to some things that actually build like spec crit. But for being a fast class, it's a pretty big number. Then Energy Combustion, we have 7 points. We have Combustible Armor, so basically all your buddies, yourself, and your teammates will take 10% less damage. This is crazy utility, as the more and more gear we get on our characters, Energy Combustion has a higher uptime. And Intense Battle, this is a good thing to help out with damage as well. And not much else to say about that. And I skipped over Sky Shattering Blow. This is your counter ability on this build. If the boss goes blue and you are in front, you press this and they will get knocked down. You want that. For those of you who want a build based on the esoteric engraving, I've included this here. I think the only thing that's different is Moonflash Kick. You want to have White Flame Kick so you get greater esoteric meter generation. And I think that everything else is the same. I even have Sweeping Kick as well still. Basically, if you are switching back and forth between gear sets like me, where you only have one esoteric spender, which is Call of the Wind God, which is kind of scuffed. This will get better later. The reason I'm playing First Intention is I think it's better and it's also more fun. It reminds me more of KFM from Blade and Soul, which I thought was a really cool character. But anyway, so Call of the Wind God, basically play Lightning Storm, Order Revolution, and Summon Storm. And this is going to give you the best damage on boss attacks. The problem with this ability is that basically you're investing your character to have this move over other moves that you can just buff by 25%. And the animation on this is a really long time compared to a lot of other abilities. And you can make this better later on with runes and stuff, which my runes are really scuffed. You'll see I have a casting speed 8% here. But if you get like legendary and epic runes, this becomes better. If you get a lot more gear and stats, you can afford to run 2 spenders, in which case you would take Blast Formation here with Weak Point Detection You can play Lucky Bubble while you're under geared if you want this, and then a Great Explosion. This makes this ability absolutely clap. Save that. You want Esoteric Extortion on Rough Courage as well. Eventually you want to max this out when you get more skill points. The First Intention, so that's going to give us 25% increased damage, and we can no longer gain our Esoteric meter. This is very, very powerful. Currently I'm just scuffed build, of course. I'm only 1,000 item level, so I haven't really built anything crazy. If you can get a secondary thing at 1 by tier 1, Adrenaline is really good to have. Doesn't really have any downsides. And for stats for this First Intention build, you want to have crit on your necklace and then swiftness on everything else. If you're playing Esoteric, you want to do the same thing, except you want to get specialization on your necklace. But if you're swapping back and forth, and the reason you'd swap back and forth is you want to play that Chaos Dungeon build that I mentioned, you want to have your orbs for that so you can use the Call of the Wind God ability. If that's the case, you can still run this with crit swiftness, but you need to be able to swap out either some kind of jewelry or swap out your thing here so that you can make your First Intention go at least under 5 so it doesn't proc. That way you can still gain benefit from Esoteric. So this doesn't even matter if you don't have this at 3. You only really need this at 1, and then Adrenaline at 3 would be ideal for an early game build. That's pretty much, I think, all there is to say about that. If you found this video useful, please be sure to give it a like, comment, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.